Good morning. It is our Saturday coffee chat. We're just about to dive into our takeaways on the book that we're reading for April and May, Atomic Habits. And I'm just going to share my takeaways. Karen has the book ordered, but it's as things are not shipping very fast right now, so she's still waiting for hers. But it's an easy read, and if you've got the book, or you're going to get the book, if you just read like 6 pages a day, you'll get through it in 2 months. So we're doing this for 2 months so that we can really just kind of dive into it. So my takeaways for today, I was just starting to share. I'm on chapter 3, how to build better habits in 4 simple steps. We love simple. And it really does break it down to how the science of how habits works. So 1 is the cue or the trigger, 2 is the craving, 3 is the response, and 4 is the reward. So habits, let's see here. So the first one is the cue. And so it triggers your brain. You see something, you hear something, you smell something, and your mind is like, it recognizes that, and then it connects it with the craving, which is the second step. And that's the motivational force behind the habit. And that's what your mind will see something, and then it just in your brain triggers that, sets that off. And what you crave is not the habit itself, but the change in state it delivers. So we are craving the change. Just think about that whenever you've triggered, it can be something like this, like here's what I'm dealing with as far as a habit and that I'm working on, and that I'm going to rally in this last 2 weeks, is after dinner is the cue. And I'm craving the chocolate. And my brain wants that reward, right? So the response is to have the chocolate, and then I get the reward. So, and every craving is linked to a desire to change your internal state. We lost Karen. Yeah. So then the craving, the next step is the response. So the response is the actual habit you perform, which can take the form of a thought or an action. Yeah. So you've got a trigger or a cue that lights up that craving. Then there's a response, which is your action or your thought. And then the response delivers the reward. And the reward is to satisfy your craving. So rewards are the end goal of every habit. So the cue is about noticing the reward. So it then links that into a cycle. Right. So the cue, the craving, the response, the reward, and the cue notices the reward, and so then it comes back around. So the cue is about noticing the reward, the craving is about wanting the reward, the response is about obtaining the reward. We chase rewards because they serve 2 purposes. They satisfy us and they teach us. So it's really interesting as you get into it a little bit deeper, and then that's kind of like the building blocks of how the book will walk you through noticing those things and how to make them healthy responses. So I'm looking forward to getting deeper into the book, but those are just a couple of my takeaways that I've just recently read. So where are you at, Deb?
I'm in the same boat on chapter 3. It took me a while to get through, but I liked before the reward, or the 4 places here, was that when you have your habits dialed in and the basics of life are handled and done, your mind is free to focus on new challenges and master the next set of problems. Building habits in the present allows you to do more of what you want in the future. So I really like that, because if I'm so manifesting in this squirrel cage of the cue and cravings and not getting to the response and reward, I'm not freeing my mind. And I notice that if I have a project and I'm not getting into it, well, why am I stopping there? What's the reward when I get the project done? So I tend to forget what the end is in mind, and that cliche, you reach to the end of mine, and it's like workout. It's kind of like I got this program and it's a calendar, but I have a tool there to visually see crossing out.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's become a habit to go upstairs and see, oh, I got this today, or I have it as my screensaver on my computer saying, I got this to do. That's my intent for the day. But I do like that, as freeing the mind, and that's my reward. Uh, I akin this to seat belts. You know, when we first had to do seat belts, it
Mm-hmm.
was seat belts versus the cue. It was like, okay, get in my car, start the car, put the seat belt. I don't even think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the reward, is I'm not going to get a ticket. But
Yeah.
in a sense, we have a rule. And so that's what it is. But now you just don't think about it. Well, that's what I want to achieve. I want to work out and not think about it. Well, I'll think about it, but but it doesn't have to be so stressing. And yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I got out of
That's
it.
awesome. Yeah. I when I read that, I really liked how that, I never really thought of it that way,
Yeah.
but it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's that
Here's, here,
mind part.
yeah. Yeah. And it's what it is. It's like, it's physiological. It's this thing that happens. And sometimes we beat ourselves up like it's not like our willpower. It's like we just got to assert our willpower, but we've created this circuitry of looping happening, this feedback
Mm-hmm.
loop that happens in our brain. And so we're kind of on autopilot in some of these habits
Yeah.
that we have. And so then we just got to kind of conscientiously decide, make that decision that we're going to do something different. And then,
Yeah.
like, as I was talking yesterday, we have to bring the conscious brain into play,
Mm-hmm.
to in the initial change of the habit, because we have to focus on that and really be intent with that. But the more we do it, then that becomes our new habit. So,
Yeah.
and then it goes to the subconscious brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So great stuff in that book. So can't wait till you get yours, Karen, and encourage everyone to get that book. It's just good for life itself, and just to recognize, what's happening in your body, which is, so going into the topic that I also wanted to just share on today for mind and body wellness tips. This kind of like is right in line with this, because of that feeling of overwhelm that a lot of us have right now. And we have this, right now it is sort of amplified, but we have this just in general in life. And for whatever, different reasons, big and small.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is some of the tips that are shared in this article that we got. It's actually out on the Beachbody blog. That's kind of where I look for like tips for myself. And I wanted to share this with you. And so when you're feeling overwhelmed, it's both a mental and physical experience. We perceive an event or set of events as more than we can handle. In our amygdala, in our brain, has the fear sensor, and it activates and sounds the alarm in our bodies. So when you're feeling that fear or anxiety or worry, I know for me, or anger, like it is a physical response in my body. I can feel it. It's not just a thought. So when the amygdala is active, the body's stress response switches on the sympathetic nervous system, which increases the heart rate, raises your blood pressure, constricts your bowels, so affects your digestion, and induces sweating. So it really is a physiological response that's happening, all from this thought or this perception or something that we see, that like the habit triggers, that cues this trigger that, so so to flip the switch on feeling this overwhelm or the anxiety, you go to confident excitement instilled with an attitude of "you got this, girl." And the secret is simply understanding the physical mechanisms that happen in your brain to your body, so you can short circuit that and go from worry, the wiring of your worry, and to divert the panic. So there's I think 7 tips. So the first one is practicing mindfulness, which we try to do. We talk about this, and it's some meditation. But the mindfulness is simply the act of bringing awareness to your present moment. So we really just keep it simple. And there's one way to do this, and I'll just share this little practice, is to close your eyes and take deep breaths and feel your pulse, right? And just kind of like feel your body's heartbeat, the pulse that's happening, and then turn your focus inward. So you've got your eyes closed. And then if you tap into your five senses, it actually stops your brain from, all this outside thought and brings it back into your body. So you want to just think about, like, you have your eyes closed, but you can open them and look. Like, there's the power of three, of look at three things that you see, right? And then three things that you smell, three things you're hearing, three things you're tasting, which that can be hard. I did this yesterday, and it's like, okay, coffee. I don't know, and it's like, I was like tasting I had just washed my hands and put on some cream. And so it was really smell, but it was like, I could almost taste it, and just fresh air. And then what you're touching. So, I've got my hands clasped together, or I feel the earth beneath my feet, or the floor beneath my feet. I feel the warmth of my jacket, right? And so then that you're tuning into your senses and into your body, and it's going to and with your deep breaths, it's going to just calm that amygdala down, that stress response, and your body, the physical part, will follow. So I do this when when I'm falling asleep at night. Sometimes this overwhelming sense of anxiety triggers, and it's almost like like my body heats up real quick, and I can feel that vibration, and I have to just tell myself, I say just release, 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 and I have to focus on that word and saying that in my mind to just shut that. And I don't even know sometimes where that came from or what triggered that. But if I just focus on that word and know that there's nothing I can do about that, whatever it is right now, and I need to go to sleep, it really does help stop that from happening in my body, and it calms it down. So our bodies are amazing. Our bodies are so amazing, right? The things that it does with and without our input I find it amazing. And the second one is find something to appreciate. So we all know, to get into the attitude of gratitude. Gratitude might be the last thing on your mind when you're feeling overwhelmed, but if you can focus on something you feel grateful for, it releases the dopamine in your brain, and that motivating hormone compels you to do more of whatever it is that gave you that hit of dopamine. So just think about what you're grateful for, and just bring your attention to that for a few minutes, and stop obsessing about whatever. Like, if you feel like there's so much I got to do, turn it back to what you've already done, or you're worrying about what may or may not happen in the future. Just be grateful for what you have in your life right now, right? So bring it back to that piece, that mindfulness, and then gratitude, and combine those two. And the third one is take a break. So sometimes we just need to shift our perspective so we can move forward. So a quick walk, go for a quick walk, do some yoga stretches, make a cup of tea, just take a break and do something different to kind of shift that perspective. And it changes your mental, physical, and emotional state. If you get fresh air, that also helps with the amygdala to bring about a soothing response when you get more oxygen. So deep breathing, that's also just very helpful with that piece, is getting more oxygen in there. It kind of slows that stress response down. And then number 4, and if you want to, do you have this, Deb, and if you wanted to share on the others?
Sure.
But
yeah, number 4 is exercise, of course. That's where you're getting that the frustration out of your body and get the endorphins fired up. So like we do in Beachbody, is we at least, majority of all the exercises are 30 minutes or less, but that helps get the whole, what do you call it, adapt the brain just to get recycled and get the oxygen going. So that's how I see it with the exercise. And it just makes you clearer thinking. That's how I see it too. And the fifth one is delegate. So this one is hard for me because it's like, okay, we have a, you know, confinement from the coronavirus and stuff. But it doesn't mean that we can't delegate within ourselves and our community and our group, which means you're reaching out just to a friend and get on Zoom or give a call and say, you know, how are you doing? Well, I'm okay, you know, and then it's like, okay, what's wrong? Ooh, gotta pull it out, you know, because I hate telling people what's bothering me because I don't want to be the one calling and that's all they hear. But no, actually, I like it when I hear somebody calling me and they need me to help them. That gives me the part of the gratitude is paying it forward, because not only it's helping me, I'm helping them. So don't be afraid to reach out and talk with other people's, or even this coffee chat. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I see as a support system. And then 6 is be realistic. And this one, this is where we focus on our goals, but let's be realistic what you can actually achieve and break it down to smaller building blocks. Like, I'm going to sleep 7 hours tonight, you know, and just make that as I call them mini goals. So if it's just a week by week, thank goodness, you know, it doesn't have to be this monstrosity and then you just get overwhelmed with this big goal. In fact, this is a great example. My husband goes, "Oh, I want to do a challenge." And I go, "Oh, yeah." He goes, "Yeah, I want to do a challenge on planks every day." And it was like, to the point you do 5-minute planks. And I was like, no, 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 no. But then I'm sitting here thinking, well, why not? It's something to do together, you know? So that was my first response. But then I got to really thinking about it. It's like, let's be realistic. It's just a few minutes and you just build up. So what am I thinking? You know, that's silly. But it could be just even realistically about your meal plan. You know, that's our every weekend self-love. If you switch it, instead of being a chore, it's a self-love. And so that's where we need to kind of switch our mindset and think that you're just nourishing your body and be realistic about that, you know. So that's how I see it. And it just kind of dampens the overwhelming feelings. And then, of course, make a plan. That's number 7. And that's part like meal planning. Like I said, building blocks. If you did a mini plan for the week of doing 7 hours of sleep at night or more, we all know what can be done or should be done, but that's the end in mind. And that's where the atomic habits is. The end in mind, I want 7 hours of sleep. Well, what's your plan? Get to bed by 9:30 or earlier and get up and feel refreshed. Don't drink as much water before you go to bed because you have to get up in the middle of the night and go pee, you know. Try to build a plan. And like anything, it just, once you achieve that mini goal, you just feel so, I don't know, elated. Or I can do this, I can do more. You know, if I can do this, I can do more. And so you can't help but want to try to strive to do more. And that's where your brain gets connected and gets clear and rewarded. And so that's how I saw that was the final step, was number 7.
That's awesome, because just like you mentioned, and that's that whole 4-step process of the habit. So you get that
Yeah.
reward, that mini reward from that one thing that you did, and that sets up that feedback loop.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. So thank you. So just when you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious or worried or any unpleasant feeling, just recognize that you're having a physical response, that this is physical. We all just kind of take it on as emotional, you know, and mental, and very personal. And we take it in negatively, but know that this is actually a physical response, that you can turn it around. So, you know, when you activate that amygdala, it's that fight or flight response. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of that. And you can turn that around. So that these are just some simple tools to calm that down and turn your feeling of overwhelm into opportunity. So I'll share this blog article in the comments here, so you can read the full thing yourself and keep it handy. So any other questions, comments for this morning?
Or how you doing this week?
Yeah. So just before we end, I'll just say, if you didn't catch my video, I did it in several places to rally on to. We're in the last 2 weeks of April, and we're just going to turn this around. We are going to just apply these tips, start doing our habit creation, and being very intentional about it. We're going to go from, we're drawing the line in the sand, because a lot of this stuff that we just talked about, these tips, they're common sense. And I'm thinking, a lot of us know a lot of this stuff, but there's a difference between knowing and doing. And that's where we draw the line in the sand. We go from what we know we need to do, right? Because a lot of us know I need to meal plan or do our workouts, or, whatever it is that what's going to get you to your goal. We've got the knowledge, and we're going to draw the line in the sand and start the doing part. Mm-hmm. And we've kind of been derailed a little bit because of what's happened in the last, 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah. So this is a normal response. But this is where we're going to draw the line in the sand and say, nope, it's time to take back control. It's time to not let that fear and anxiety and overwhelm and the unknown to control our life. We are going to create the life that we really want to live going forward. And so the rally for the last 2 weeks is to just dig deep and get that fire back and start putting in place and into action the things we know we need to do, and start using the tools that we have, and really be intentional with creating the life and the results that we want to get in this last 2 weeks of April. And then that's going to lead us right into May, which the May group is, the theme is Made for More. It's going to be awesome, because we're going to tap into that potential. So I really want us to get fired up in this last 2 weeks and go into May, with a whole new mindset. So I'm excited about it. I hope you are. And if you want to get into the May group, if you're not already in there, the people in April will roll over, and we're going to be into the new BOD Groups platform, which is exciting. I'm doing a training today, Deb is too, I think, on all of the things that BOD Groups is, and it's going to put us into one platform just to make things easier. So I'm super excited about that. So more information on that coming.
Yeah, once they do that, the challenge tracker is going away.
Yeah.
So this will be a big change. So we're all going to be renewed.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. The spring revival that didn't happen,
exactly.
We really wanted to be a revival, but it didn't happen. So we're going to rally, right?
Right.
So, here we go. All right.